There is one common mistake I see a lot of engineers making that is quietly killing their careers. And it does not even appear in your code, it appears in meetings. You usually listen in, you're understanding things, but you don't speak. And that one habit is quietly costing you your trust, visibility, and in turn, your promotions. And if you're a software engineer who's actively trying to be more visible and respected without having to be the loudest person in the room, subscribe to this channel where I break down exactly how you can do this. That being said, let's get straight into the video. In this video, I'll break down 3 things. Number 1, why staying quiet in meetings is affecting your career. Number 2, what senior engineers do differently. And number 3, the immediate things you can start doing in your meetings to start contributing in a meaningful way without having to talk more than you want to. Now, let's look into why staying quiet in meetings is actually affecting your career in a negative way. The problem is not that you don't have good idea, is that others don't know that you do. In meetings, usually the perception is built more real time, usually when you speak. So if you instead multitask or usually just listen in, don't share your thoughts or ask meaningful questions, people just assume you are unconfident or don't have anything meaningful to add, even when you actually might have. And I get it, a lot of us, we are scared to speak up or being judged of how we will sound when we speak up. I myself am a very introverted engineer, but even as an introverted engineer, our goal is not to speak more, it is to speak intentionally. So what I basically mean to say is promotions and things like that are usually built on how people perceive you, on how your coworkers are perceiving you, how your manager is perceiving you, how your sister teams or other stakeholders like product, customer service, etc. is perceiving you. Do they just perceive you to be someone who waits to be given instruction and just executes on it? Or someone who shares meaningful thoughts, creates clarity, asks meaningful clarifying questions to unearth underlying requirements and things like that. So when you multitask during meetings or just stay silent, that is unknowingly and quietly killing your chances at promotion, or it might just take way longer for you to get promoted if you do that. Now, let's quickly touch upon what senior engineers usually do. When you usually think about senior engineers, you might think, oh shit, they talk a lot. They have great ideas. They do all these great things to align people. And yeah, they absolutely do all of these things. But if you're immediately just trying to replicate that, my friend, you're going to overwhelm yourself because it's not easy to get from where you're at to where you want to be. But it's a skill that most definitely can be developed. I'm a living example of that. So when it comes to engineers or senior engineers specifically, when they do a lot of this, let's say quote unquote, aligning between stakeholders, it starts at the most basic thing, asking questions. Questioning the direction of the proposal or the solution being discussed by some other junior to mid-level engineers, or asking questions to get everyone on the same page when discussing things. So for example, when engineers are given a problem, usually they start brainstorming solutions immediately without actually thinking about what sort of requirements we're trying to satisfy, so what sort of solution we need to think of to align with that. So asking clarifying questions to, let's say, product managers to unearth the requirements that they give, because a lot of times they give very ambiguous requirements, and to translate that into technical stuff, you have to understand, okay, if this is what they want, in what capacity should this be done, which satisfies the product requirements as well as the technical requirements. So the gist is, the goal is not to speak more or speak all the time. It is to speak with intent, even if you're speaking less. And even if all you do is asking questions, that immediately drives significant value compared to just staying silent and multitasking during meetings. We might feel asking questions might be a sign of weakness, but it's actually the opposite. People who are afraid of asking questions or afraid of sounding stupid but still ask those questions, they have a superpower of driving alignment and actually unearthing the required requirements so that there's no sort of misalignment or miscommunication down the line. And that is a one way of aligning people. So like senior engineers, when they focus on driving clarity and alignment, what are some immediate things that we can start doing that can help you start the process of replicating what these senior engineers do? And the first thing that comes to mind is what we already covered, asking questions. And if you're someone who usually has a lot of questions but is just afraid to ask them or feel that the question is stupid, I have a very good video for you, my friend, because just a while back I made a video on how to ask stupid questions confidently and ask them in a way that they don't come off as stupid. I'll link the video somewhere up here so you can check it out. So yeah, going back to asking questions, always ask questions. It's an amazing way to drive clarity. Again, the questions could be around clarifying requirements, getting others on the same page during discussions, and things like that. An example question could be, what are we optimizing for here? Is it speed or is it reliability? Because like I said, when engineers are given a problem, they immediately start hammering out solutions without understanding what exactly we're optimizing for. So are they optimizing for speed or are they optimizing for reliability? Because the solutions on both spectrums could be very different. And knowing what business really wants more will help you align or go in the direction of the solution. So what this does is this helps you not only clarify the requirements so you actually focus on building the right thing, but it also helps get the discussion on the right track. And because most times technical discussions, they go in circles and leads to meetings being extremely unproductive. So be that person who braves themselves and asks these questions, even if you feel they might be stupid, because you might be surprised at how many times multiple engineers have that same question, but every one of them is afraid to ask that question. So if you ask that question, you'll just end up looking like a leader, my friend. Now let's look at a second way that you can speak up more during meetings. What you can immediately do is actually summarize some of the things that were discussed by other engineers in the meeting. Because usually multiple things get thrown around during meetings, multiple viewpoints get thrown around, multiple options get thrown around. So being someone that aggregates or consolidates these things and gets everyone on the same page on what was being discussed, or are we even discussing the right thing, will immediately make you stand out. And it will help people retain information better, because when everyone's just like talking, it's very easy to lose a lot of the information that's being discussed. So you can literally start the summary by, hey everyone, just want to take a step back and just want to make sure I'm understanding everything correctly. We talked about point A, we talked about point B. These are the trade-offs we analyzed and what we are optimizing for. And just want to make sure that I got this correct or am I missing everything. Would really appreciate if anyone could add to this if I did not already cover it. So you're not only clarifying your own thought process, you're helping clarify everyone else's thought process and getting them on the same page doing this. So both the things that we did right now, asking questions and summarizing, you're not adding anything. So you don't have to have the best technical abilities to keep adding more stuff to discussions. All you're doing is just clarifying things and making sure everyone's on the same page. And that itself drives a lot of impact, more than you can imagine, to be honest. Now, a third way of how you can contribute meaningfully in meetings is just to share your perspective. Again, you don't have to add more stuff to the discussion. All you're doing is sharing your perspective based on everything that's already been discussed. So let's say if you already asked enough clarifying questions to understand, okay, you're optimizing for reliability more than optimizing for speed. Now, more technical solutions get thrown around in that discussion. All you can do is, hey, based on everything we discussed and that we're optimizing for reliability, I personally feel this option will help us satisfy this particular solution or problem in a much better way and provide more ROI. What do you all think? All you're doing is making sure that the ROI is being considered in a better way, because with engineers, they usually tend to talk more about the most optimal solution or the best way to do something, but at times that might not actually be the solution that gives the best ROI to the company or the team. Getting everyone on the page by sharing a perspective in an ROI standpoint will definitely set you apart, especially in the eyes of PMs, EMs, if not leadership as well, to be honest. Based on everything we've discussed so far, and to summarize all of it, it's basically, you don't have to be someone that speaks a lot or speaks all the time or have to be the loudest person in the room. All you have to do is speak with intent and ask those clarifying questions, summarize relevant discussions, or just share your perspective based on things that's already being discussed. That way, you're not adding anything extra on top of what's being discussed. All you're doing is getting everyone on the same page based on things that's already being discussed and making sure we are solving for the right problems and not over-engineering something. Because like I mentioned, promotions happen when your perception changes from someone who just executes to now someone who drives clarity, alignment, and builds trust. Because as you go up the career ladder, the kind of problems you're given to solve are not just coding-based tasks. You have to be a leader that gets everyone on the same page, especially across multiple different stakeholders. And based on that, be the one who can give the relevant solution to that problem. So yeah, in meetings, don't aim to impress, just aim to drive clarity. And that will immediately set you apart from majority of the engineers in your company. And if you're intentionally looking to become a visible, respected, trusted, and confident engineer who can speak confidently, sell their ideas, and negotiate with stakeholders, book a chat with me using the link in the description below. We'll see how it might be working together and how it can help you change your career for the best. With that being said, as always, I'm just here to help.